because we haven't started the show yet.
Good day, Internet.
Oh, hey, Internet.
What's going on, Internet?
Hey, what's happening?
We were just talking about show title suggestions. And before I refreshed the tab that I had open before, the top vote getter was, how does this taco blanket work? Which was from Wednesday's show, because Scott Johnson bought a taco blanket and then was disappointed.
Really? It's still from Wednesday. Wow.
Well, because yesterday we had a whole thing.
We had a whole
right?
thing.
StreamYard and all sorts of things were down. So everybody just did stuff differently yesterday. But I want to know how the taco blanket works. I still feel like I'm waiting.
So there's an experiment in labs to turn your search results into a Notebook LM podcast.
What? That sounds horrible.
Wait, say again?
So you know how Notebook LM can have those two people talk?
Yeah.
You can turn that on in search.
Oh.
So does it look at your search history, or is it like a real-time thing to where
it's a
as you search
real-time
for
thing on the search itself?
Here's what Tom Merritt is looking at right now. Now, I've known that he's checked out
it's
how to
also
clean
sort of like
bloodstains.
if I'm like, hey, how do you peel a carrot? It's like, all right, well, that podcast is probably going to be a minute, maybe. I mean, I hope it's not 90 minutes.
Let's talk about what the top-rated search engine.
I can't. Oh, here we go. Can I do it for something else?
Let's try.
So I did their example, and it offered me one, but it didn't do it for a regular search yet because I just turned it on.
That just gives me the thought that Google's just trying stuff.
Yeah.
Let's just see. Let's just see what happens if we do this.
I don't need someone narrating my searches. You know what I mean? Like, I think that would be, that's like, it's like having a mariachi band follow you everywhere. You know what I mean?
And why is that an example of a bad thing?
It's like every step you take, they're like, the guy plays the tuba. Hey, would you knock it off? Come on. I'm trying to search how to get blood stains out of my wood floor.
So how do you get blood stains out of your wood floor?
So we're talking about that right now.
Is anyone using Notebook LM regularly?
I'm not.
No.
I mean, besides just when we talked about it before, I played around with it a little bit, but it's not really something as a podcast human. I'm like, I don't really need it in the podcast sense. I know it does other things, but no.
Yeah, it's like the mariachi band following you everywhere.
Yeah, I don't use the audio summaries or the podcast part of it hardly ever. In fact, I don't think I've used it since I tested it, other than testing it when other stuff comes out for it.
Yeah,
right.
But I have found myself throwing other things in there.
Oh yeah.
It's like I wonder what LM will do compared to just throwing this in Gemini. And it gives you it does give you some pretty interesting stuff. Like, for example, I write all of my notes now in all my notes make it to Google Drive some way. So the fact that I could literally just go and import all my notes into this Notebook LM and then ask it questions about stuff that I've written. That's how a lot of people are using a lot of, AI, but it's interesting how you
could you create an actual podcast using Notebook LM? You know what I mean? Like, just give it a topic and then have them talk about it for you.
It's pretty cringe after the first 90 seconds to 2 minutes, but yeah, you absolutely can.
I was actually playing around. I'm in the process of developing a podcast for another organization, and I was like, do I want to be the voice of it? So I was like, maybe I have like an AI voice to it. And I tried it, and I was like, nah, it's easier to just read my own copy.
Now here's my thing, and maybe this is just me. As soon as I would realize that something is AI generated, I'm probably no longer listening. I'm probably just off to the next thing.
Especially with those two people, because once you hear it once, now you know who those two people are. that are unless they've switched up the voices. Have they switched them up?
No, they're the same
Yeah,
guy.
I haven't
and
played
the
around
same-
with Notebook LM since you guys talked about it on the show a while back. Yeah, not interested. Sorry. It's easier for a human to do it.
But I feel like this. I can read significantly faster than I can listen. So let me, if it's not a real person saying it, let me just go read it if I'm interested enough to care about what's in whatever thing is being spit out.
I can only get it to happen on my desktop, which will give an echo if I do it that way. But here, I got it to do the example one.
Ever wondered how those noise-canceling headphones magically make airplane engines disappear? It's not just about bulky ear cups. There's some cool tech involved.
Absolutely. It's a blend of both physical design and some pretty slick electronic engineering working together to create that cone of silence.
So how do these headphones actually pull off this trick?
Well, there are actually two main ways headphones reduce noise.
See, the first time you hear this, sorry, I'm doing the echo. The first time you hear it, you're like, wow, that's pretty good. And then every time you're like, oh, it's the same.
Yeah,
It's the same
exactly.
Deep dive.
every time.
What did you type in? What was your search?
Their example search is how do noise cancellation headphones work? That's the search.
So you could not get it to work with just a regular search, correct?
And I just turned it on in labs, so maybe it just needs to propagate.
Yeah.
I couldn't make the noise cancellation headphones example work on my iPad either, so I don't know what's up with that.
I don't really need a podcast about everything that I'm I'm searching. You know what I mean?
Well, you better change your mind about that, Len.
I already have
got lots of
issues
pods.
when I go to YouTube to just watch videos on how do you change a sump pump.
Right.
And it's a 30-minute video to show you 94 seconds of actual sump pump being changed.
Rob Dunewood is
So I
looking.
wonder if
fix
I would get the
sump
same thing from this. Is it going to give me because it's making it a conversation, does it give me way more information than I actually want? If I just want to know, how does this work?
Sure. It depends on the search, I guess, right? Like if for how does it work, probably not going to be that useful. But if you're like,
Right.
what's the history of string?
30 seconds.
Right.
Makes sense.
String, in fact, has been around for centuries.
That's amazing.
I have.
Now give me sources.
I used
Sources of some
ChatGPT
sources.
to write a script for me. I will admit it, but I went in and I kind of tinkered with it. So
Yeah, it does. It did give me sources on the noise canceling. It gave me 9 links to
Okay.
the sites that it was using. So
great. But you don't need people.
I
to-
didn't check them to find out if they were
If they were
reliable
real
sources.
or if they were
Yeah.
hallucinating.
Have a good show, everybody.
All right.
Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Friday, June 13th. Friday the 13th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I am not Jason Voorhees, but I am Sarah Lane.
From Studio 7 in Los Angeles, I'm Tom Merritt.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
Drawing the top tech stories in Cleveland, I'm Len Peralta.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
DTNS Live is made possible by its listeners. We love every single one of you. Big thanks to all of you, including Kevin Morgan, Paul Thiessen, Ali Sanjabi, and new Patreon, Payson.
Yay! We love new patrons.
Yeah.
Hello, Payson. And welcome all, one and all, to a Friday edition of DTNS Live. It is a spooky Friday. The show where we discuss the tech news, no matter what day it is, to help us understand it all a little bit better. Robb Dunewood, are you at Friday the 13th? Believer, hater, anywhere in between?
I didn't even think about it until we got into the pre-show today. So I don't want to say I'm a believer or a hater. I'm kind of a just unaware person of the date.
Just happens to be a date, happens to be a Friday. Yeah, there are people I think who are like, oh, something weird's gonna happen. It's like it's
Spooky
just
day.
a day of the week.
Yeah, Lucky Day. I like to think of it as Lucky Day.
Yeah,
because you
Lucky
know what else
13.
June 13th is?
What's that?
It's the 12th anniversary of the debut of BTS. But do you know what else June 13th is?
What?
It's the day we brought Seven the dog home from the rescue agency last year.
Oh, really? Was that really a year ago?
It's only been a year?
It's been a year. Yeah, it's been a year.
I feel like it's been like a month. Yeah. Has gone by
Well,
so
for
quick.
7,
Feels
it's
a little
actually
longer
been
here.
7 years technically. So
In dog years,
he's led
yeah.
a full life in those 7 years.
That's right. He doesn't even remember
Yeah.
a year ago. He's like, oh, I was so little then. Yeah, it's his gotcha day, they call it. And we got him.
When I don't know if anybody was ever into the Friday the 13th horror movie franchise. It was something that, as a kid, a lot of friends and I watched just because it was like we weren't supposed to. It was rated R.
Right.
There was like a recommendation on Plex the other day, Jason Goes to Hell. And I was like, you know what? I don't think so. I just don't think I'm going to watch that.
Didn't Jason go to space at one point? I mean, wasn't there like a Jason on the space station or
Was
something?
Jason
really?
versus Freddy Krueger at one
Yeah.
point? Like,
I remember
they really,
Jason
they
versus
Everyone
really
went
went
to
off.
space. Even the leprechaun from the
Yeah.
Leprechaun
Even
horror
Fast and
movies went
Furious.
to space.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, Friday the 13th has not just jumped the shark; it jumped like a line or
Yeah,
row of
they
whale
jumped-
sharks
they
that was a
jumped
mile long.
asteroids.
Jason also went to Spain, just in case you were wondering.
Outer Spain?
No, it's just Spain. He was the-
Those poor
Majorca.
Spaniards, never saw them coming.
Yeah.
Well, listen, if you are listening live, you can name this episode. Head on over to dtns.showbot.tv, submit titles, and vote on them as we talk through the stories of the day. We'll check back in on all the votes at the end of the show, and we will pick the winner, and your name might be the winning name. Now, let's kick it off with a few stories that caught our eye today.
This is a public service announcement, but without guitars. Sorry, Faith No More fans. Anchor is recalling 1,158,000 PowerCore 10,000 power banks sold between June 2016 and December 2022. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission received 10 reports of fire, 11 reports of property damage, and 2 reports of minor burns. As a percentage of 1.1 million, not that many, but better safe than sorry. So users are advised to dispose of them properly at a hazardous waste center, and you can contact Anchor for a $30 gift card or replacement power bank. And again, it's the Anchor PowerCore 10,000. And if you want to make doubly sure yours is the one that got recalled, look for model A1263.
Oh man, I hope that for those folks who are like, yeah, I don't want this in my house anymore, they are disposed of responsibly, because I know how hard it is, even myself. I'm like, with the batteries,
Don't throw it
you
in the trash.
got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Can't throw them in the trash. So, do the right thing.
Yeah, I actually have 3 PowerCore 10,000. So I was going through the house looking at all of them. Not a single one of them is
good.
A1263. So that's a good thing. But I was hoping that at least one would be, so I could like replace it and maybe get some new hotness or something like that.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I didn't mean that pun. I don't want it to be hot at all. The next battery, I don't want a hot battery. I do not want a hot battery.
You want it to be hot but cool.
Right.
Hot in a cool way.
The new coolness. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we'll go with.
There, that's it.
As rumored, Meta is investing $14.3 billion in Scale AI, and also bringing on Scale AI's founder, Alexander Wang, to lead Meta AI superintelligence efforts. Wang will stay on as a director at Scale AI, but otherwise he's going to be focused on Meta. Strategy chief Jason Droge steps in as Scale AI CEO. Meta's investment gives it a 49% stake, so it doesn't have voting power, but will have a lot of leverage.
Seems like this is kind of like an acqui-hire as much as it was an acquisition. They wanted the people as
Kind
much
of
as
a
they wanted.
reverse acqui-hire. Yeah, because you didn't aqua. You just did the hire.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, isn't that funny? It's sort of like the CEO's like, hey, I'm going over here, but like I'll still be involved.
I still have a lot of stock in Scale, so I'm a director on this
and like
board.
Meta's going to
Y'all.
give all of you a lot of money to like play around still.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem on the surface to be a horrible deal for Scale
It's kind of
AI.
a try before you buy. I'm sure it wouldn't take that much for Meta to just bump that up to 51% if they so choose at some point.
They could easily do it. Native support for Macs using Apple Silicon has been rolled out in Valve's latest Stream client beta update. This comes as Apple begins to phase out major updates for Intel-based Macs after macOS Tahoe. Users can try Steam beta by opting in through the Steam client settings.
This is good. It's faster.
Yeah. So I had to look it up. When was the last Intel Mac that came out? I think it was like 2019, but they stopped selling it in 2023.
2020 was the last one. Yeah.
2020.
So,
Because my old Mac Mini that I got at the very tail end of 2018, I thought was right before the M1 started rolling out. So it wasn't like I chose it. That was my only choice at the time.
Yeah.
And then the M1s came out soon after that. So yeah, I would have assumed 2019.
So what do folks have, like 2 years? Like they'll get like the 26 update, and then there'll be like patches in 27, and then service updates in 28 or something like that. Is that how that's going to work?
I think it's three
3 years.
Versions of security updates, but not, you won't be able to run the this is the last one that will run on Tahoe. Is the last one that'll run on Intel's. That's what we talked about earlier in the week. So I think there's 2 security updates after this one. That's where I'm getting the 3. I think you're right.
Hope it's time to upgrade.
Yep.
I mean, the Apple Silicon Macs are pretty great. But for those of you who are like, you know what, but I like my Intel. Well, now you know what you're up against.
Yeah, they're getting rid of Rosetta. Well, they're not getting rid of it, but they're scaling down Rosetta as soon as we hit macOS 28. So that's 2 versions down the road, but that's not, the compatibility layer isn't going to last forever either.
Yeah. All right, those are the top 3 stories that caught our eye today. And let's get into our discussions. All right, this got a lot of chatter online today. Meta's new standalone AI app, Meta.ai, anybody could go there. It's an app, but it's also a desktop app, is facing, let's just say, a ton of criticism after some users unknowingly shared private conversations, ranging from personal questions to maybe sensitive legal queries, stuff that pretty obviously was not meant to be in some sort of public feed. Now, unclear privacy settings is what a lot of people are blaming Meta for. Meta's AI app doesn't offer what many people think are very obvious indicators of what's going public. Meta hasn't clarified how posts are shared or who can see them. So, for example, if you were to log into Meta AI with your Instagram account, and your Instagram account is public, and you are tapping the share button after you make a query, not realizing that you're not sharing that with your mom or your sister, or maybe somebody that you're getting information for, you're sharing it with the entire world, that becomes a problem. So I read this story this morning and I was like, what is going on? Like, is this like a Venmo situation, where everybody's just like sharing with the world, who they paid and how much they paid for, the bachelorette party type stuff? First of all, I could not get it to log me in using either my Facebook or my Instagram account. I had to create a new account. I don't know why. That was what was going on. It gave me the option like, oh, do you want to log in using Instagram or Facebook? I was like, yeah, let's try Instagram. No, couldn't do it. It was like, no, Sarah Lynn's, that username is taken. It's taken by me. But okay, so I made a new account and I started to play around. And it's true. On the public feed, if you go into the Discover tab, if you just go to Meta AI and just start looking around, you will see all sorts of stuff. Most of it is image generation, but you do get some queries from people. And maybe, I think at this point, this story has gotten enough attention that people are just having fun with the whole thing. So they're asking crazy things. I tried to do that as well. I was like, what happens if I see my neighbor like wrestling with a pizza on her dining room table? They were like, is your neighbor okay? I was like, yeah, that's probably the right question to ask myself if that was really a thing that I had seen, which I haven't, but I was trying to like trick it and see, what I could get and how that could become embarrassing information for me. I don't know. Anybody else been trying this out today?
So it's not just today. Going back to when this stuff came out back in April, I think the problem is that, well, let me start here. Meta is telling you exactly what will happen when you use it one way versus another way. They're telling you, but I don't think people really understand that when you say I'm sending this publicly, that you truly are sending it publicly, and then anyone has access to it. And
hold on. The warning says prompts you post are public and visible to everyone. Avoid sharing personal or sensitive information.
Well, those words mean something in a
that's what it
paragraph,
tells you.
Tom, but it definitely tells you that.
Yeah.
But I'm just, from my personal experience, I read that I remember we talked about this on the Tech John back, when this stuff first came out, and I'm reading that and I'm still thinking, oh, well, this is like anonymized. Nobody's going to know that it came from me. And like Stephanie Humphrey, who is really, really into online safety. And she's like, Rob, hold up. I think you are misunderstanding what's happening here. If you put this stuff out there and you say make it public, you are doing exactly what you just read.
Public and visible to everyone. Like, is it on them or you if you decide to interpret that differently?
It really is.
Avoid
I feel like
sharing personal or sensitive information. Like, I'm not sure what else they could do.
It is a fine print. It definitely says that. It also is something that could be easily ignored. We're just not seeing.
But is that their fault? Like, they put it up there.
No, I don't think it's their fault.
Past it, like, I have a bigger problem with the fact that the first time I shared something, it gave me that prompt. The second time it didn't. So it's easy to forget that that's the case. They should be giving you that prompt every time until you tell it, don't show me that prompt anymore.
So I think one of the things that when you are a company the size of Meta, which you probably have to do in some of these instances, is you have to protect people from themselves, because it very clearly told me if I make this public, I am making it public. The earth can see it. It told me that. I read it, but I didn't understand it because it's so different than how Meta platforms have worked previously to this, to where you've got to jump through hoops to get stuff out into the open internet, to where I know that I'm doing it. So I think the problem that a lot of people are having is not that Meta's not telling you, is that they're telling you and people are just misunderstanding what they're being told. So yeah, you could say, well, is that their fault? If it's a contract, no, it's not their fault. They put it in a contract, but I think that because they're so big,
it's not buried in the terms of service.
It's not buried.
It's
very upfront the first time. But
I do think it should show up every time, though.
It should show up every time. And I just think the people need to be aware, like, hey, like you need to have your own personal, like Stephanie Humphrey, maybe we'll make her into a GPT or something like that. Says, hey, are you certain that you want to put this out to Earth and everybody can see these very personal things that you're searching for?
A pop-up along the lines of that, I think, would make a big difference. Now, again, to your point, Tom, it's like it's all on us to read the fine print. If it's there,
it's fine print. Why do we keep saying it's fine print? It's a normal size pop-up.
It's down at the bottom, and it's easy to ignore if you're like, yeah, sure.
It wasn't down at the bottom for me. It was right up top. As soon as I hit the share button, it was like, hey, read this.
Yeah,
now,
you can't ignore
it. Read it.
You can't ignore it. It tells you exactly what it's going to do the first time you do it. It's just the fact that we are so used to it working the way we think it's going to work and not the way that it's telling us it's going to work, that's where the issue is coming in. So yeah, this is one of the things they're telling us what's going to happen, but still, folks, you need to pay attention to this because people search for pretty important stuff and you may not want that stuff just out on the open internet.
I would say, as with any new service, just be a little slower on the uptake and make sure that you have your I's dotted and your T's crossed, because it's not all the same.
You mean like read the pop-up?
Yeah, no, it really, I will say I do agree with you, Tom. Like, if it does not show you that pop-up on subsequent searches, that is a big
you should have to actively like uncheck a box, say don't show me this anytime anymore.
I saw the pop-up on several searches in a row. It wasn't like it went away.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I
it went away from me and I don't see it anymore at all.
Yeah.
So maybe I did something.
I also was trying to, I kept trying to log into like actual accounts I have on other Meta sites, and that never worked. So I had to create a new.
I didn't have that problem.
Now I have a new Meta AI username, but I do think this just goes back to, okay, whether you call it fine print or you're like, no, it's front and center. I mean, everybody could see this. If it just was, if you would like to share this publicly, yes, check this box, and then we will share it publicly with the world.
It's the share button with the warning. That's exactly what it does.
But instead, it's like, if you don't want to do that.
Did you see anything that you legitimately thought like, ooh, somebody didn't mean to share that? Because I didn't. And I don't know if Meta just cracked down on it since Business Insider did their original story about this earlier this week, but I wasn't seeing anything like that anymore. So I wonder if there was a bug or if they started moderating or something like that.
Well, I think it got enough attention that people are trying to like like gamify the whole thing.
Oh,
So
sure.
I,
No, I
so
saw
did-
intentional stuff like that.
I got
Yeah.
some queries where it's like, yes, my neighbor was not wrestling with a pizza next door. Like that was not a thing that I like really wanted to ask Meta AI about. I was just like, let's just see, what I get back and like how I share that and what that looks like to the rest of the world. What does end up happening on some of these, and again, a lot of it is like, it's very artistic. Just, I made, like a image of a dog on a rainbow holding a popsicle or, whatever. And, that's feels pretty harmless. I mean, maybe that's for a particular reason. Maybe it's just for fun.
Most
but then
of the
you
stuff
get
I
a
see
lot
is
of other
harmless.
people commenting because if it's a public post, it's like, then it's kind of turns into a social network of sorts.
Right.
And that's where I saw some weird stuff.
Oh,
where
sure.
it's
But
like
that's normal social network weirdness
Totally.
at work.
Yeah. There's nothing about this that's like, ooh,
I've never seen that before.
all of a sudden these people are, they've gone rogue. It's like, no, it's just one more reason to, again, think about, your privacy options, what you're comfortable with, what you're searching for. And
I think people are accidentally sharing. I think they're butt dialing this thing because there were some examples of conversations where people didn't realize that it was even listening to them and they were just talking to each other. And it sounded like maybe it was in a pocket. I think that's what's happening is that people were just sharing and there was no moderation on it. And I bet Meta has moderation on this now.
Yeah. I'm quite sure after the attention that Meta will maybe make some tweaks. Could be wrong. But we'll check back on Monday. In the meantime, Tom, we don't always talk about cryptocurrency here on DTNS Live, but today is one of those days.
Yeah, it's been a minute, right? Wall Street Journal saying that Walmart and Amazon are exploring issuing stablecoins. Walmart and Amazon. If you don't know what a stable coin is, it's a coin that's pegged to a currency. Usually it's pegged to the US dollar so that one stable coin always equals $1. That avoids the volatility of coins like Dogecoin and Bitcoin and all of that. Apparently Expedia Group and some airlines have also discussed issuing their own stable coins. The reason they would do this is if you have stable coins on a blockchain, you can handle transactions yourself and you don't have to pay fees to the banking system. You can have people input money, turn it into stable coins, and then do instant transactions with no fees. Now, apparently the Wall Street Journal says that companies like Walmart and Amazon are waiting on the U.S. Genius Act, which these names, which would establish regulations for stable coins. They want that to get passed before they go ahead, but they're talking about it. Meanwhile, two other stories today that made me want to bring this. Shopify is offering USDC, which is a US dollar-based stablecoin, to a limited number of merchants. Those merchants can accept USDC from Circle as payment, and they can get paid through USDC in their local currency. Anybody paying with USDC on Shopify gets a 1% discount. And then Coinbase announced it's offering an American Express card with a $30 a month subscription plan. So if you're a $30 a month subscription person on Coinbase, you can get an American Express card as part of that. It really struck me that these weren't startups. These weren't things you have to learn to trust. That we're talking about Walmart. Mm-hmm. We're talking about American Express. We're talking about Shopify. Like these are big, fairly well-trusted names talking about getting into stablecoins. Are we at the point now, Rob, where we are about to see this become mainstream?
If the government gets on board, the big thing for me when you start having these big companies like this that are using this is that, how does a government control its monetary policy if it doesn't control the money? So the government controls dollars and cents right now. They don't control Bitcoin. They don't control stable coins. So I'm curious to see how are they going to regulate this so they still have some level of control over financial policy within its borders. Like, will they only allow this if it is a stable coin that is linked to the dollar, which means that they still have a bit of control because they control the dollar? But, we're talking about stable coins that are US dollar linked, but you could just as easily get a stable coin that is linked to the ruble or linked to the, to the yen or what have you. So my question is, at what level is the government going to get in and regulate this and be able to maintain some level of financial policy that they can control as a government as compared to just letting you use this fiat that is not part of the country that you exist in?
That's a really good question. And I think that's why these companies are looking at stablecoin, because they're almost always dollar oriented. You're not wrong. You can put it in whatever currency you want, but they're almost always dollar oriented. And even now, most companies still even tie their own currencies to the dollar and keep dollar reserves. Mm-hmm. So if you're using a US dollar based stablecoin, kind of avoids all of that. Even the US is examining issuing their own stablecoin for US dollars. And if each stablecoin is equal to $1 US, then US monetary policy is going to affect that. Also, these are just meant for transactions. They're not meant for saving. So that's another way that this doesn't totally cut out the government from it, because you're cashing these out into whatever currency you want. With Shopify, you can cash it into rubles or yen or euros or whatever you want. So it goes back into the government regulated systems in those cases. So it is a little different than a lot of the problems that you have with Bitcoin because of that.
I think a lot of folks, they sort of say, well, all right, so you cut out some fees associated with transactions. I mean, anybody who's done a wire transfer, is familiar with that. It's like, okay, that sounds great. Somebody's got to be mad about this, though, because somebody was getting that money.
Banks not going to like this.
I was just going to say the same thing. The banks, if we think that lobbying is a problem now, the money that banks will throw to lobbyists to make sure that things go their way will be astronomical in the very short future if this does not look like it's going to go the bank's way. So I think that the banks are already trying to figure out how can we exist in this new world to where we still get some of those transaction fees that we get right now. They're not just going to let that stuff go easily.
One of the things they're doing is creating a bank consortium to issue a stable coin so that they're like, well, if we fail on that front, maybe we can get them to use our stable coin and we win on.
Beat them, join them, and just do it better.
It's the stable coin you know and trust.
Yeah, exactly. Don't you want the Wells Fargo, Bank of America, BMO stable coin? It's actually like Zelle. Right?
I mean, as funny as that sounds, kind of, it's like a lot of people will be like, yeah, I think that's the one I want, because all this other stuff sounds a little, crypto crazy.
Yeah. And honestly, stable coins, I think, get a bad rap because they get lumped in with a lot of the other stuff that's out there, like meme coins, but they're pretty mundane, and they really could speed things up as well as save money. It's one thing, like you said, Sarah, when you and I have to wire something once every couple of years. If you're a business, you are paying those bank fees constantly and they build up. And if you can cut them out, it's a huge savings. Mm-hmm. And you speed things up. You can make transfers super fast, super instant, which is already happening in a lot of parts of the world that they're getting fast, but you can make them literally real time.
And not to dive deeply into the underlying technology, but the blockchain technology that this stuff is built on is designed to do exactly these types of things. It's what it was created for. So yeah, banks are definitely going to be on board with this. They're not going to just let their business model go away, because that 2.5% to 4% that they collect off of transaction fees, that is billions and billions.
They're going to need to find a replacement for that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm not saying that's all going to happen either. What I'm saying is I've been sort of keeping an eye on this part of the industry, and I've been seeing a lot of things where I'm like, I don't know if that's going to work out. I don't know if that's going to work out. When I suddenly see Walmart, American Express, Coinbase, Shopify, and Amazon all in the same day, I'm like, something's happening there. It's worth keeping aware of. Yep. Well, what do you want to hear us talk about on the show? If you're like, stable coins, I keep my money in a mattress in my blanket. One way to let us know is on our subreddit. Submit stories and vote on them at reddit.com/r/Daily Tech News Show.
Tom, I hope that blanket is shaped like a taco. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I got it from Scott for cheap.
That's how you keep your money safe, okay?
Yeah.
It's tried and true. All right, so Rob, Google has been pretty adamant that it should not be on the hook for verifying users' ages. So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, they're definitely not down with that. Earlier today, Google reiterated that it firmly opposes Meta's proposal to verify a user's age through mobile operating system app stores. And it says that the proposal would not only be ineffective, but would, quote, would require the sharing of granular age band data with millions of developers who don't need it, end quote. Google also said that doing so would place children who access the internet via computers or shared devices at extreme risk as well. So my question is, when we just kind of look at how things are going, we've had, a few states here that have actually put bans on, you have to be a certain age to be able to even use social media. We definitely don't want children going to, pornography sites and stuff like that. Something is going to have to give at some point. So my question to you guys is, what do we think would actually work? Google and Apple definitely don't want to be on the hook for verifying ages. Big companies like Meta don't want to be on the hook for it. Individual developers don't want to be on the hook for it, but someone's going to have to be on the hook for it. What do you guys think ultimately might work?
Blockchain. No, I don't. I mean, that might be a solution
Finally,
at some
a
point.
stable
But,
coin. You just pay your way to verification.
well, so I think about this a lot. Like, for example, every once in a while, maybe I'm sending a friend of mine, like a nice bottle of wine, and they don't live near me, so it's something I do online. It's like, you have to be 21 years old to enter, and I'm like, yes, I am. When's your birthday? Okay, here's my birthday type thing. It's like, I could say my birthday was 1901. They don't care. They just want to make sure that I'm not saying that I'm under 21. That kind of stuff is like, whatever. You see that around a lot. A lot of social networks as well are kind of like, hey, are you a teen? What's your birth date? And very, very easy to get around that. You just lie about it. And then what I think you're talking about, Rob, is like, all right, well, what if we all take it a little bit more seriously? And some companies are doing that. It's like, no, we have to see your driver's license. Or your state ID, that kind of thing. And that turns into, well, now you've got that thing in your database, and, that's not great either for a lot of people. So, yeah, what do we do at this point?
Well, there's two sides to this that are a part of the problem. One is, how do you make sure that the companies are abiding by any rules and regulations you put out there to verify ages? That's why they want the app stores to do this, because then the apps have to go by that, right? They can't say they're verifying ages and do what you're talking about, Sarah, and just be like, we asked them and they said they were 75 years old and they're actually 12. So getting the app stores is supposed to avoid that. However, people can still get around this, by using the web, by not using apps. This is not going to stop all the ways that people are trying to age gate stuff. And yeah, a lot of the age gate stuff is censorship, but not all of it. Some of it is really, well meant to like stop kids from wandering into places that they shouldn't go. We have lots of reasons for age verification in the real world that translate to the internet. I think we just need a better identity management system altogether so that we are in control of the data, it's verified, and then we decide who gets to see it or not. It's not stored in somebody's database. That way, if there's a service that's like, got to be 18 to use this service, if I had data identity under my control, I could say, verify to them that I'm older than 18, but don't tell them anything else. Don't tell them how old I am, when my birthday is, what my social security is. Don't tell them my name, nothing. Just verify to them that I am older than 18. There are systems that can do that. We just haven't developed them. So maybe the government, if they really are serious about this, would like to implement such a system.
Oh, I feel like the government would like to know a lot more information than, the utopian system that you're describing.
Government already knows that information.
Yeah,
they
already
need
know
the
it.
system to get it because they have the
true.
IRS.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't do anything wrong, and then what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
I wonder, that's a good example of how this would work appropriately. It's like, I am an adult who is able to go to a certain site for a certain reason, so I'm not a teenager, I'm not pretending, but you don't need to know my address, my name, or my birthday, just that I am able to go through the gates.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if something like World ID would work. We talked about that a few months back on the show, where you literally go and you stand in front of this orb and it takes biometric data from your eyes and your face and all this other stuff. And you ultimately get like a QR code. You get a token that basically is completely anonymous. It doesn't know who you are. It just knows that you are a unique person. So I've wondered if maybe that technology could potentially be extended to where you can also say that I'm over the age of 18. And like you were saying, Tom, I don't want you to tell them that I'm 27 or 37 or 77, but am I older than 18? Am I older than 16? If it can do those kind of things, then maybe something like that can work, but that's not going to be free. People are going to have to pay for that. So, that's kind of like, well, I could just put a credit card in if I have to pay for something. But then when you put the credit card in, you're not anonymous at that point, because at some point somebody can track that credit card number back to you. And I think one of the things that a lot of people want is that I need to verify that I'm older than a certain age, but I don't want anyone to know who I am. So maybe something like World ID could work.
There's like a dozen states that support Android or Google Wallet and Apple Wallet driver's licenses that work exactly like this. I don't know that that's the solution, because then you have to be using your phone to do it. But maybe there's some equivalent system. Obviously, anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows that I'm a big fan of Tim Berners-Lee's Solid effort. If that got adopted, that does exactly what I'm talking about, where it lets you manage your identification data, and then you decide who gets access and you can revoke it. So that could do it. Something like World ID could do it. None of these are going to be exactly free. It's just a matter of who pays them.
You're going to have to do something, because like I said, the governments are coming down and saying, you got to be 15, you got to be 16, you have to be 18, 21,
Sure.
Whatever the case is. They're not messing around with that. So somebody probably should figure it out, because it probably would be lucrative for you to do so.
Well, and I mean, and companies have figured it out, supposedly, right? It's like, how old are you? Well, if you lie to me, that's on you, not me. That's what if I'm 12 years old and I sign up for a new Instagram account, and it's not a teen account, and somehow I get around the restrictions. It's like Instagram was like, we asked. I mean, we don't know. What are we supposed to do? Knock down her front door to find out?
Well, that was
how old
always
she
the
is?
thing when I went to the bars in Austin in the 90s, is they would ask you, are you over 21? Because you can't lie if you're a cop trying to bust me. So, it doesn't matter what you say. If you tell me you are, then I'm going to believe you and serve you.
I get that every so often which is now very flattering at this point of my life, but they won't ask for my ID. If I'm, getting groceries and, there's wine or whatever, they're like, and birth dates? I tell them, and they're like, okay.
All this gray hair I got, I appreciate it when I get carded.
Well,
Thank you.
at this point, I'm like, oh, thank you. Aren't you sweet? I used to be very, bent out of shape about it when I was 22. Like, oh, you don't believe me? But still, it's like, no one's really checking, I mean, sure, I'm not 20 years old. That's
I've
very
started
clear.
to get the like, oh, I don't need your ID.
No,
It's like convenient and also insulting in the same
Yeah.
breath.
you're good,
Conveniently
mister.
insulting.
Yeah, you are good. Sail
Go
on,
right
through,
on
sir.
in, sir.
Yeah, yes, yeah, and watch your step
Careful.
on the way out.
Cane.
Yeah, can I help you in?
Do you want the ARP discount today?
Yeah.
Give him the 20%.
Yes,
I'm
I
sure.
do want it.
Indeed. Yep.
All right, Roger, it is time for our Friday Great Debates. We do this every Friday. Sometimes it's a trivia quiz, sometimes it's a debate. Today is a discussion game where we're proposing two sides of a question. Try to answer some of the most pressing issues of our age. Shall we begin?
Yes. So the first grand, weighty question I have for the lot of you, which includes Lynn, should AI-generated content be clearly labeled for consumers in the same way that we clearly label certain foods for allergens or a particular product if it has like artificial ingredients or any sort of
Gluten-free,
carcinogens?
that kind of stuff.
Or do you think that's just kind of like busybody micromanaging, overregulation where people, it doesn't really matter?
Laminar Rainbow gave us a super sticker, so we have to really do good with this debate.
I wonder what Laminar would think about this one, because I know you're with us on our great debates pretty often.
Can't
when
spell
it comes,
Laminar without AI. Just saying.
That's true. So when it comes to comparing it to something like, let's say I have a peanut allergy, right? Or some sort of food intolerance. It's like, I do need to know before I, buy that package of pasta or, beans or whatever it is, that I'm not going to end up hurting myself or, somebody in my family. So I get like physically ingesting as a human, that is very important. We're also used to, movie ratings. R-rated movie,
Speaking
not
of
the
the
same
kids.
as a G-rated movie, and you know why, for the most part.
Speaking of using my fake ID to get into an R-rated movie.
Right, yes. If you have a fake ID and you're underage, then you know what you're doing. Like, there's so many reasons that the consumers are supposed to be gated back from a variety of things that we might buy. AI generated content, I don't know. Does that fit into the same category? If I feel like it's harmful to somebody, then I say, yeah, sure,
A lot of
let's
people think
figure
it is.
something out.
A lot of people think AI is harmful just by existing.
Just by existing. If you feel that way, then yes, I think you would be in the camp of, yeah, this needs to always be like clearly marked. Nobody should be confused. The problem is, though, with AI, a lot of it is human generated, but with AI help. So then you get into some weird.
That's where the food
gray
label
area.
of like 70% of the content of this was generated by a model.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
and one could also argue like, hey, people put when they do a movie or they do a documentary, sometimes they'll use animated illustrations or something to kind of drive home a point. They don't put like, this documentary features hand drawn, cell animation.
They do put
20%.
reenactment up on the screen.
or a reenactment, right? No one says like,
Sometimes.
this is this is 100% as things actually happened, right? They often put some sort of indicator. This is a reenactment.
I think this
not
is
the actual
settled, honestly. Everybody is labeling stuff now. The question is, what needs to be labeled, right? We've gone past should they label it, because almost every platform is saying you have to tell us if there's any AI in this, and then we're going to put a label on it. But does it need to go farther? Does it need to tell you which model? And like you say, like we're talking about, how much of it was labeled? I think that's where we're at.
Well,
I say
and
more information the better, but I don't know if I need it to be the law or not. I think public pressure has been enough so far.
And
I
if
think
you're
so,
a
too.
person who's like, oh, it's only 30% AI rather than 75% AI, does that really matter? Does that change your perception of the quality of the stuff that you're getting? I don't know, Rob. What do you think?
I want to talk out of both sides of my mouth. Right now, while it's fresh and people are really bothered by it, it does matter. People do want to know. I don't want to buy stuff that is AI generated when I can buy stuff from an actual person. That's today in 2025. When we get to 2028, when we get to 2030, people may not care as much. So just the label that says that this was AI generated or AI assisted generation might be all that you need. And that's kind of where we are right now. The platforms, they want to continue to make money, and they know that people feel some kind of way about it. So they are taking the helm and saying, hey, we need to let our users, let our customers know that we are putting content out that they may actually purchase that is AI generated. We need to let them know. I think that's probably just going to persist probably forever, or at least for forever is a long time. For the foreseeable future, there will be labels, on this data. But I don't think that you're going to have to get into, 17% was created with this and 36% was created with that. And I'm not going to do the math to go to 100, but I don't think it's going to get to that. It was like it was AI assisted or it was AI created. Those are the labels you're going to get. Those are the labels that we have right now.
It's easy to create the labels too. You just let ChatGPT do it.
This label was generated
so
by AI.
everyone's for labeling, or no?
Yes.
Sarah isn't.
I'm for labeling.
I'm not against labeling. I just
Oh no,
feel
no,
like
but I mean, like you
I
lean toward like it doesn't really matter. It shouldn't be a
well, I don't know.
no tipper stickers for you.
Sarah's big super libertarian and against regulation.
That's right. No regulating of my AI. No, I
Don't
think-
tread on me.
I do.
AI.
I do think it's important for people to know the difference. That's what I think. Fundamentally, that's
They
definitely
should know
where,
what they're
where I
getting.
am on this.
If they're
and
purchasing a
not
piece of
everybody
content.
is going to be talking about the stuff that we're talking about right now. It's lots of people are just gonna be like, "What? That's not real. It looks
It
real."
might go the other way, where you like have to label it when it's not AI.
I mean,
Yeah.
isn't that what organic
100%
is? Sort of?
human
Right.
made.
Handmade,
Oh, yeah.
organic, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Made with real children.
And you know, I fall for that stuff all the time, where it's like, oh, somebody lovingly crocheted this blanket, shaped like a taco. I should buy it.
Handmade with AI.
Yeah.
And
In
robot.
By
the
robot
USA.
hands.
I mean, there's all sorts of stuff you can say on a variety of things. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we are in, you know, like you said, Rob, like by 2028, this is going to be a very different conversation.
We're going to be off on something else. I'm with you. Rob.
Yeah.
I think you need to tell people, especially like when people are writing books and stuff. You need to know. I want to know. I mean,
I think you can tell with books even more than art.
I mean, especially as Len as an artist, do you just feel like it should be very explicit? So if you buy a piece of like
Yes.
an illustration, a painting,
I actually think that the blockchain would be good for this. That you
Yeah,
can,
for provenance and all that.
yeah, you can tie real artwork to the blockchain.
And
not
there's
AI
already
generated stuff.
systems for doing that, for having provenance and showing edits and all of that. It's voluntary at this point, but it exists. You can already do all of this. Like I said, the debate about whether things should be labeled is over. They're being labeled. The question is to what extent and should it be mandatory?
Yeah.
All right. The second bigger, weightier question is this. If you could eat free once a day for 1 year and only a year at one of these two restaurants, which would it be? Now, once a day, you can only eat there once a day. You can't just sit there and not
Once a day for a year.
a year.
Okay. Free for a day.
IHOP or Denny's?
Oh, no, Denny's for sure.
Yeah.
You had to think about it though.
No, you know why? Because of the super bird. That's why.
Can I choose neither?
See, that's my.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there a death as an option? Like,
I
don't-
actually like Denny's, but it's not good for me. I don't want.
Not every
I don't,
day.
I don't need to be encouraged to eat there.
every day. No, so IHOP, which for anybody who's just sort of like, what is even the International House of Pancakes? However, and it's still a pancake house, but it does just breakfast food in general, kind of all day breakfast food. So you can go there and not eat pancakes. And Denny's much more of like that, just straight up, chain of breakfast fare. You want eggs, you want sausages, you want some bacon, you want some pancakes. You can get all that at Denny's.
You can get tacos at IHOP now. By the way.
Yeah.
You can get tacos
Yeah.
at IHOP. Wow, it's been a while since I've been there.
I definitely like the pancakes at IHOP better than I like the pancakes at Denny's. Neither are places that I'm like, oh, I need to go one of these places and get pancakes. But I want to choose Denny's for this reason. Denny's is closer to just like a diner, to where you literally can go and you can see the person cooking the food, and you don't have to order off the menu at a lot of Denny's. You can just tell them what you want and they'll just make it. It doesn't have to be on the menu and they'll just charge you for it. A lot of people don't know that you can do that, but it's
didn't know you
way
could do
closer to
that.
Waffle House in that sense too. I want this. Whereas with IHOP, I don't know this to be the case for IHOP. I haven't tried it there, but generally when I'm going to the IHOP, I'm going to order exactly what is on the menu. Whereas when you go to Denny's, I can tell them, man, I want this, and that. And they just kind of fit it into their price structure, and they charge you, and it tastes delicious.
Yeah, I mean,
think
it has to be ingredients they have, obviously.
Oh
but
yeah, so they're not going to go and make you something they don't have. But
Well, I think there's a wider menu too at Denny's than there is.
Denny's
at
is a
IHOP.
It's
big menu.
narrowed a bit than what it used to. Like back in the day,
It used to be
pretty
a book,
thick,
like
and they-
spiral,
they-
literal spiral bound.
What
Yeah,
was the one at Denny's? It was like they had a campaign where it was like $2.30 for this
Lunch.
big breakfast.
the Grand Slam, the
Yeah, the Grand Slam.
Grand
Yes,
Slam?
exactly.
still
Grand
have those.
Slam.
What do you do?
It's not $2.30 anymore.
Definitely
Plus,
not. It's
you know-
Well, if it was,
probably
I'd be.
significantly
I would pick Denny's.
Isn't Denny's open 24 hours as well?
Some of
Not
them
all
are.
of them.
Not all of them.
some of them.
Yeah.
Because I
Some
have
of them
many
God.
late
The
night.
Grand Slam starts at $13.19.
Oh my gosh! Didn't it used to be like $2.50
Oh, yeah,
or something
yeah, yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
That was the whole point. Was like it was like, wow, this is like
Yeah.
such a great deal.
Chicken soft tacos used to be 39 cents at Taco Bell too.
Oh boy. Well, you know,
I have many
inflation.
great memories of going to Denny's after a late night binge. So yeah,
Denny's at midnight was a very eye-opening experience,
It's
especially
great.
if you were
Oh,
in a
Caro's. Roger, you know Caro's.
yes, Caro's.
Caro's at 2 a.m. even more enlightening. I actually
Nothing beats a Waffle House at any time of day though.
No.
well.
For
And
opening.
nothing can
And-
beat the employees that work at Waffle House.
Yeah, that too.
we have a place here called the
Don't try.
Big Egg, and the Big Egg is sort of like that idea of like
Yeah.
Waffle House. Very,
But it's just
odd.
eggs.
I remember going to so Caro's is very much a Denny's, same idea, just sort of late night, early morning. You just get breakfast fare, and I was there quite late one night in college with some friends, and like it was late, so we weren't the only people in there, but it was sort of like, why are we even in here? You know, we should just go to bed, but we were hungry. And the people there were just, I don't know, they weren't like serving us. They were just sort of hiding in the back. Who even knows what they were doing? And they were probably younger than we were. And finally we were like, all right, well, time to go. And we left. We didn't pay. And it was like, it was not a dine and dash. Let me tell you, I am not an advocate for anything like that. We had sat there for like a couple hours and like couldn't find anybody who worked there.
So
And
in
we
other
just
words, you
left.
sat there and you weren't served at all.
No, we ate.
Oh,
But
okay.
we
They got
like,
served. They just didn't get charged.
they just left us alone at that point, and we eventually left. And I remember like as we were leaving the parking garage, I was like, are we about to get arrested? I think we've broken the law, but no, nothing ever happened. So
I haven't been to an IHOP in more than 20 years. I remember the last time I went
wow,
was
really?
in Austin, Texas in like 2003, I think.
oh, I thought we
But-
would have all gone to IHOP with Ken Marcus in San Francisco at some point because he loved IHOP.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did. But I've been to a Denny's within the past couple of years with family. I've been there with Scott Johnson in Salt Lake.
Yeah, the only thing that Denny's has over IHOP is really they have the lunch and dinner, even though they're those selections of
IHOP
narrowed-
has that now too, though. So
yeah,
there's
you
really
get
that
burgers and
distinction has
chicken
gone
wings
away.
and stuff like that.
Yeah,
from
yeah.
You can get a junior waffle. You can get a junior cheeseburger. You can get a French toast. Oh, French toast. I wouldn't mind French toast.
I don't
French
like
just call it
I don't like
toast.
buying French toast. It's so easy to make at home. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not paying for French toast. I'll just make it at home.
You can make anything at home.
I know. I can make an
Yeah,
omelet
but
at
you
home, but I
don't you always have that one dish where you're like, nah, I can make this at home.
Yeah,
It's
or
like-
especially if you're like, I know how to make it the way I like it.
Totally.
I just-
right, yeah. Like
I
instead
would
of
not
just
go to
being
a
like,
place to buy
oh,
toast.
it's like too sweet, or not enough syrup or whatever. Yeah, French toast. I don't buy French toast.
All right, last question in the grand debates. If you could have only one grocery store chain within walking distance, that means you go out you can walk to it from your front door. Would you either have an Aldi's or a Trader Joe's?
Aldi's.
Very
Personally, I
regional-
would prefer
very
Trader Joe's.
regional thing here. Not everybody
No.
has Aldi's or Trader Joe's.
I don't
especially
know what
outside the
Aldi's
US.
is.
Oh,
Aldi's
okay.
is
It's the most awesome little
Yes.
grocery store.
They're the same company, by the way. Aldi's owns Trader Joe's.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
I
that.
thought it was a different part of
So
Aldi's.
they're
So-
both like kind of specialty. You get like
Yes, however-
certain good things at each store, but it's not like an all for one grocery store.
No, so Aldi is a foreign company. I think it's German.
German.
And they offer kind of off-brand stuff, but it's better or sometimes just as good as the branded stuff. It's like and it's very inexpensive too. Like it's Trader Joe's. I was just at Trader Joe's recently. It was pretty expensive, I felt, for what you were getting. But Aldi, you can get like the best frozen pizza. I think it's like Mama Santos or something like that. Frozen pizza, the best frozen pizza, and the house brand Clancy's is a really good like if you're into Fritos and stuff like that, really good corn chips. So I don't know. I would go with Aldi only because of the
Did
cost.
you know there are 2 Aldis?
Yes.
Aldi Nord in northwest Germany and Aldi Süd, which started in southwest Germany. And I think Aldi Süd is the one that expanded.
Yeah.
Well, they're
although
two
it's-
different
They're
companies.
two brothers. They're
Well, I
two
thought you were
brothers
about to say
split.
that there are 2 in
Yeah.
LA. The chat is very lively with how they feel about Aldi versus Trader Joe's.
Mama Kosi's? That's
JPEG84 says Trader Joe's has the worst apple juice.
No, so this is the thing. Like, there's certain things at Trader Joe's that are the best, and I choose Trader Joe's because they offer the greatest number of things my kids will eat, which is very important.
Also,
in my
Trader
household.
Joe's, if you haven't gone in a long time, kind of has everything these days. Like there's some like pharmaceutical
I feel like I'm unfair to Trader
and
Joe's.
house cleaning stuff they don't have still. But
Yeah.
but like consumables wise, like food wise, they kind of have everything.
They also do
Because it used to be like you would
produce
not
used to be
go
bad,
there.
yeah.
I mean, maybe you would get like a bag of lemons,
Right.
You know,
But no,
in a
they
bucket
really
on the
upped their
side. But it
produce
was
game.
mostly like frozen, prepackaged cheese.
and
You know,
lunch stuff.
People
Remember?
love Trader Joe's. I get it.
There's a
I
new
haven't
Trader
gone into
Joe's.
Trader Joe's in probably 10 years.
Oh my
because
gosh,
I'm just
yeah,
like,
no,
don't
you
like
do-
Trader Joe's.
Then you
was
haven't
there-
been to
I was
Trader
there a
Joe's,
week ago.
basically. It's so different than it was 10 years
All
ago.
right,
It's like-
fine, I'll go.
Yeah.
Probably
I
today.
like
No, go to the one in Sherman Oaks. They just
I'm not
opened
going
a
to the
new
one
one.
in Sherman Oaks, Tom. What are
It's
you
worth
talking
the
about?
trip. I'm telling you.
No.
They have ample parking, and they had to keep the other one across the street open for 2 years because of the lease. So there's no one in the new one. It's so beautiful.
There's just
it's-
no way I'm doing that.
I have to
But-
say
but
I
okay,
do like
I get it.
I like the theme. I like the thematic, right? Like you're on this kind of SpongeBob SquarePants jaunty sort of thing. That's fun, but at least give me give me some better prices, man. Especially now, it's like
Yeah, all
Trader
these
Joe's
prices are
are
top.
pretty good
They're
here.
really
Yeah.
good.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe just for where we live, it seems pretty reasonable.
They're always like at or lower than Ralph's.
I have
for
to,
me.
Oh,
I just-
really?
I haven't
now
gone there that often.
so now you're talking. Now you're talking my language because I
Mm-hmm.
like Sprouts is my favorite grocery store, but it's pricey. It is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's pricey on certain things. Yes.
It's pricey on kind
Roger
No,
is a
they're
Sprouts
actually
fan.
but
pretty
it's
cheap.
Whole Foods prices. That's what it is.
No. This is the thing. They actually have certain things that are that are a lot cheaper, especially if they're in season. Produce, pretty good. They also sell certain prepackaged
They-
foods
they
at
have
at
certain
least
Sprouts
20%
branded stuff.
cheaper than retail price.
No,
And I
that
know
is
that
true.
because
You're
of-
right.
Also,
But
they
that's-
sell these
but that's
vitamins
also like
that my
what
kids
Whole
will eat.
Foods does with like their 365 brand. It's like if you want to buy their noodles,
I don't know. Whole
Then
Foods
it's
is a
cheaper
different
than-
level of gouge.
the whole everybody's gouging us. All right, let's just call it what it
Foods
is.
like the club. I mean, you can go in there.
I mean,
like my
what's
daughter used to go
what's
to.
the
Then
what's the one?
we
Erewhon
haven't
or
even
whatever?
talked about the
That's
Costco
like,
people.
That's just a
Costco people
status
are
symbol.
just like, oh my gosh, why would you not go to Costco? And I'm like, I don't know. It's like,
Oh, and to translate for everyone else in the U.S., Ralph's is Kroger.
okay.
No,
Yes.
K. Roger, Tom.
K. Roger. Thank you very
I
much.
will say we talked about the Ralph's
go
that's
K.
near me
Roger.
the other day, and the one that's near you that has a lot of like Asian fare, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Ralph's is. I used to be like, I'll go to Ralph's if I have to. Now I'm like, I like it.
Depends
I
on
like
the Ralph's. They really do vary a lot.
They've got a lot of good stuff, but yes, a lot of Kroger branded stuff as well.
So Trader Joe's for the win? No. Or is it Aldi's?
I choose. I don't
Aldi.
know.
Aldi's.
Aldi.
So Len
I've
and
literally
Robb
never been in
Aldi's.
an Aldi's, so I guess I'll choose Trader.
I mean,
Joe's.
the one that I've been to in Burbank looked kind of like a rummage sale, so I was sort of pumped.
Wow.
You do have to get past that moment, but you're saving
You
money.
have to get past. Also, their berries
you
were more
shop, the more
expensive
you
than the
save.
grocery outlet. So
But you're saving
Grocery
money. That's the
outlet
important part.
does have that same feel, though.
yeah,
And
but the
it's
prices
like-
are worth it. Like
Right, but you go in there and you're like, oh my goodness, nobody is keeping
Piggly
the store
Wiggly.
up.
Thank you, the reaper.
Piggly
I miss
Wiggly.
Piggly Wiggly. Oh,
Wegmans. You guys know Wegmans? That's
Oh,
We don't
I've
have
heard
those
of
here.
Wegmans.
They're awesome, though.
I have heard. I
Big Bear. Do you remember Big Bear?
My upstate New York friends talk
Yeah.
about Wegmans constantly
Jewel Osco.
for no reason at all.
Yeah, Wegmans is very popular.
Very popular. Oh my gosh,
Rochester,
do they
New
love
York.
Wegmans?
Yeah.
All right, so if you have a favorite grocery store, wherever you may live in the world, some of these grocery stores you might be like, never heard of them, never been to a Denny's or an IHOP. Do Tell us where you do like to go and why. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Anything we talk about on the show, we want to get your feedback. It makes our show better going forward. Thank you in advance. Also, thanks to you, Len Peralta. You've been doing something a little bit different during the show. So let's talk
for those
about
of you
this.
who are watching the video, in my second life, I am a graphic recorder, which means that I record stuff as it's happening, like conventions or meetings. And I did it today for DTNS. This was created during the show for real. If you're watching the video, you can actually watch it happen. And the reason I did it is because I am offering a new service, and you can contact me. It's digital graphic recording. That means I can come digitally to your event and do exactly what I just did for DTNS. It takes about an hour to fill content. And by the end, you have this beautiful piece of art that is not AI driven. It's all hand done.
It really is. And I know that you did this on the fly because when we were talking about IHOP versus Denny's, it's like Grand Slam.
Yep.
You did that as we said it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is not something that you had
really cool.
notes on beforehand.
Yeah, this is
No,
really,
I did
really
not.
cool.
I was just taking it from, it's called active listening. So yeah, if you want to hire me, reach out to me at my online store or just reach out to me as you normally would. This image will be available on my online store as well as at my Patreon, patreon.com/Len. So there you go.
Thank you, Len. Good stuff.
Thank you.
So, folks, during the show, you've been submitting your titles over at dtns.showbot.tv, and we've got a bunch of different submissions over there. So let's just go through a few of them. Let's start off right at the top with the Rafe 86. One coin to rule them all.
Oh,
That's
And
a
it's
good one.
stable.
yeah. Hopefully.
JPEG 84. The age gate is breakable.
It is.
It really
Indeed.
is.
Yeah. Very, very
Zoe Brings
breakable.
Bacon chimes in with Sarah's neighbor isn't wrestling a pizza.
They might be. I'm just saying I didn't see it. Okay?
Yeah.
I didn't see it. You know, keep
Pizza wrestling, that ended up on
keep
the
your eyes
on the
to
drawing.
yourself.
That ended up on the art. Yeah, I saw that.
Let's see, Clinton Woodward chimes in with Jason goes to DTNS.
Yes.
Jason Voorhees.
Love that.
So, Sarah, what did we decide to go with today?
Well, we went with Stablemattress from Larry in Atlanta.
That's a good one.
All right.
Stable
Thank
mattress,
you,
yeah.
Larry in Atlanta. Also, big thanks to everybody watching us on all the live ways, LinkedIn, YouTube. We got a sticker from Laminar Rainbow earlier in the show. Thanks again for that. Big thanks to everybody supporting us on Twitch. I Wear Later Hosen cheered us with 420 bits. 420
Nice.
tokes for the show today, guys. He needs tokens.
Nice.
Wow.
Tokens.
I mean, if you're still awake, thank you.
I'm kind of hungry.
W.
though.
Scottus 1 back for the 66th month. You're all young and beautiful. Thank you, W. Scottus 1. C-Spawn cheered us with 100 bits. Discussion game incoming. Zoe Briggs Bacon with a bunch of bits. Technique gave us a shout out. Big thanks to everyone who supports us on all of these platforms, including patreon.com/DTNS. Don't forget, we do top 5 on our YouTube channel. I'm counting down my 5 favorite Commodore 64 games from my years with the Commodore 64. So go check that out at youtube.com/Daily Tech News Show and also on TikTok.
You can watch us live Monday through Friday. We do it every weekday at 4 p.m. Eastern. That is 2000 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We're back on Monday with Justin Robert Young joining us. Talk to you then.
This week's episodes of Daily Tech News Show Live were created by the following people. Producer and host Sarah Lane, host Tom Merritt, host Robb Dunewood, producer Roger Chang, video producer Joe Kuntz, producer at large Anthony Lemos, social media producer and moderator Zoe Dutterding, our mods Beatmaster, W. Scottus 1, BioCount, Captain Kipper, Steve Guadarrama, Paul Reese, Matthew J. Stevens, aka Gadget Virtuoso, and J. D. Galloway. Mod and video hosting by Dan Christensen. Music provided by Martin Bell and Dan Luters. Art by Len Peralta. Acast ad support from Tatiana Matias. Patreon support from Tom McNeil. Contributors for this week's shows included Justin Robert Young, Terrence Gaines, Chris Christensen, and Scott Johnson. Our guest this week was Emily Forlini. And thanks to all our patrons who make the show possible.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.